All right, so notes 9.2 is about the measures of central tendency. So again, this week is about the 4 measures of central tendency, and today we're going to talk about the last 3 because the day before we talked about mean. Now, what's important for the remainder of the measures of central tendency is we will have to put our data in order, right? And I also recommend you use some colored pencils today. So, like yesterday, the mean is the average where we add all the data points together and divide by the number of data points. The median is the middle number. Okay? However, if there is an even number of data points, you need to find the average of the middle two. So, let's do an example here. If we have 2, 3, 4 as our data points, 3 would be the middle because it's got the same number on one side as the other, okay? If we have 1, 2, 3, 4, well, technically the middle's right here, right? Because then we'd have 2 on the left side and 2 on the right side. But there's no number there. So what we do instead is with those middle 2 that were next to that line, I add them together and find the average. So if I added 2 numbers together, I divide by 2. And if I typed this into my calculator, 2 plus 3, and then divided it by 2, we would get 2.5. So 2.5 would be your median. Okay? So that's the difference between what happens when you have an odd number of data points versus an even number of data points. Now again, if it's in the middle, that means it's got the same numbers on the right side and on the left side of that middle. Okay. Mode is the data point we see the most. Okay, mode is the most. Now, data doesn't always have a mode, or it can have more than one. We will see, I think, most of these today. And then the last measure of central tendency is the range. So this is the difference between the biggest and the smallest number, our data points. Now, this should never be a negative, okay? Never. Let me say this again, never. All right. So here's a dot plot about the number of missing assignments in period 1. So I'm gonna first put this in order. And what's nice about dot plots is it kind of already is in order. So that's super cool. So we got, here we'll do this in gray. So we have 1 4, we have a 6, we have 2 7s, we have a 9, we have a dot above 12, we have a dot above 15, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4 dots above 20. So I got to write 24 times. Okay. So first, let's find the mean. So again, if I find the mean, I'm going to add all these numbers together. And when I do, I get 140. And then there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 numbers. So I'm going to divide by 11. And we'll do mean in pink today. And when I do this, I get a pretty big decimal. So I'm going to have 12.727. And just like yesterday, I look at that last number to tell me if I round. And since that 7 is 5 or more, that 2 turns into a 3. So I have 12.73 for my mean. All right, the median, again, is the middle. So choosing a different color, I'm going to choose purple for the median. We have 11 numbers. So if you can find the middle because you know your addition skills very well, so like in my brain, because I have good addition skills, I know that 11 is an odd number. And because of that, I should also know that I can have one middle number, because again, it's odd. And if I do that, that means I should have 5 on one side and 5 on the other. If you are not good at that, that is totally okay. This is what you're going to do instead. You are going to kind of underline on each side until you find the middle. So I have 6 and 20, and then we have 7 and 20, and then we have 7 and 20 again, and then we have 9 and 15. Now see how 12, I couldn't underline it with a partner? So that means 12 is going to be my middle, and that means 12 is my median, right? Odd numbers have a straight up one number middle. And again, see how I have 5 numbers on the left of that middle, and then I have 5 numbers on the right of that middle? That's how you know it's the middle. It's got the same number on one side as it does on the other, okay? Next up, we have the mode. So the mode is the number we see the most. So I'm going to do this color with this one in orange. Well, I see 20 the most. So 20 is my mode, and it's the only one that's got 4. 7 has 2 numbers, but that's not the most. 4 numbers is the most, right? We see 4 20s, that is the most. And then last up, we have the range, which I'll do in green. The range, again, is the largest number, so our largest number is 20, minus our smallest number, 4. Well, 20 minus 4, type that in my calculator, doop, 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 and I get a range of 16. And that's it. All right, in this next one, it's not already in order, so we are going to have to put it in order. So I'm going to look for my smallest number, which is an 11, and I see I have 2 of them. So I'm going to cross these off so I don't accidentally do them again, and it's easier to figure out what you got left, okay? And I'm going to write that 11 twice. I don't have any 12s. I have 3 13s, so that's 1, 2, 3. All right, and then I have no 14s, no 15s, but I got 2 16s, and don't forget to cross them off. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 17s. Please make sure you write all 6 17s. Don't write more because then it's going to mess you up. 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5, so I need 1 more. And I have 1, 2, 3 18s. So 1, 2, 3 18s. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to take this and add them all up. All right, so again, I'm doing the mean in pink, and we have total, this makes 249, and we divide this by 16 numbers because that's how many numbers we have, and this gives us a pretty big decimal. So we got 15.562, and I only want to do it up to the second decimal. So this 2 tells me to stay when I round. So that means that I have a 15.56, because again, only want 2 decimals. I don't want stupid big decimals. Please don't do that. All right. Now, we know we have 16 data points. So we have an even number. So that means I have to divide 16 in half. So half of 16 is 8. So let's count that out. And we did median in purple. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so right here, we should have 8 on one side of this purple line and 8 on the other. So let's double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, also good. Now, that purple line is the middle. There's not a number at that purple line. I didn't circle something like I did in the first one. So what's going to happen is these 2 numbers here are my median, and I need to find the average of them, right? Both of these are in the middle. So this is what happens when you have an even number. I'm going to take 17 plus 17, and I'm going to find the average or the mean of this middle. Now I added 2 17s together, which gives us 34. And I divide it by 2, right? Because I added 2 numbers. And this gives us a median of 17. Now, it will not always work out all beautiful and amazing like this, right? This is math. But for this part, it should. It shouldn't give you a crazy funky decimal by any means, but it won't always be where you add the same two numbers and then divide by 2. And again, I divided by 2 because I had two middle numbers. Okay, that's where that 2 came from. We'll have another example, don't you worry. All right, next up we have the mode, which I believe I did in orange earlier. And which number do we see the most? Well, the number we see the most is 17. There were 6 of them. Hey, look, median and mode are the same. Now, yes, we have 3 13s, we have 3 18s, but that is not the most. We see 5 17s. That is the most often number that we see. I don't think most often makes sense. I don't think that's a real phrase, but there we are. And then the range is taking the biggest number and subtracting the smallest number, so 18 minus 11, so our range is 7. All right, so here is the next example, and you will want to put your numbers here in order. And for the sake of time, because I've already shown you how to do that, I'm going to kind of cheat, and I already have my numbers put in order, okay? Isn't that nice? So now what we're going to do is we're going to figure out the mean. And the mean in this case means we have to add all these numbers. And when we do, we should get, I'll do this in gray. When we add all these numbers, we get 533.5. And then we divide by how many numbers we have, which in this case is 17. Then this gives me, well, unfortunately, it gives me an ugly decimal. So I got 31.382, and after that, that's all I want. So this 2 is less 4 or less, so that means we're going to stay with that 8 when we round to the second decimal place. Okay? Our median, we need to find the middle. Now, in this case, from earlier, we know we have an odd number of data points. So that means I need to find the middle number of all this. Now again, if it's in the middle, it needs to have the same number of data points on one side and the other. So this is what I'm going to do. I see I have 1.5 and 193. Okay. 3 and 70 is on one side. And then 4 and 40, 5 and 40, 10 and 36. Then we got 13 and 26. We got 14 and 23, 15 and 22. 18 doesn't have a partner, so that means my 18 will be my middle. Double checked. Do you have the same number on one side of this 18 as the other? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. On one side, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 on the other side. Always double check. So my middle number is 18. How lovely. Now we need to find our mode. Mode is the number that happens the most often. Well, it looks like here the mode is going to be 40. It's the only one that happens twice. Everything else is just one time. And then last up, we got the range. And the range, again, is taking the largest number, which is 193, and subtracting the smallest number, which is 1.5, which means our range is 191.5. Lovely. Example 4 is about the frequencies of skipping class in Math 1 before COVID. And there's a boo-boo here that I want to fix because I want to do another special type of median. So instead of 1/6 for frequency, I want to cross out that 1 and put 2. Okay, and remember, frequency means how many we have of the tardies. So here, Number of tardies is 1. There should be 5 of them because that's what frequency means. How many? It means 5. If there's 2 tardies, there are 2 people who got 2 tardies, so there should be 2 2s. Number of 6 tardies, there were 2 people who had them, so 2 6s. 18 tardies, there are 3 people who have them, so it should be 3 18s, and so on and so forth. All right, so what I'm going to do is I already have the list, written out because that's how I roll. I wrote it all out. So I have 5 1s, I have 2 2s, I got 2 6s, I got 3 18s, I got 1 23, and I got 5 42s. That's a lot of tardies. So I'm going to find the mean. And to do that, I add all these numbers together and I get 308. And there should be 18 numbers. So let's double check. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. 18 numbers. And double check that my total's right because yesterday was not good. All right. And when I do that math here, I get 17.111111. So I'm going to round. So I look at that third decimal place, and this tells me to stay with that 1 in front of it. So that way I don't have to have a bunch of decimals. I can just round to the second decimal place. Okay, now we're going to find the median. Now, we know there is an even number of numbers, okay? So that means the middle is going to be the halfway point. So half of 18 is 9. So let's count that up. Let's count 9 decimal places. All right. So I'm naming 9 decimal places. 9 numbers. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. So that means my halfway point is right in the middle of 6 and 18. Let's double check that we have the same number on one side as the other because right now it's kind of looking like that's not the case. But let's just double check. So I know this left side is 9. The right side should also be 9. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, it is. It doesn't look like it, right? It's kind of trippy, but it is the middle. Now, because we have an even number, that means I'm going to take these two, 6 and 18, and I'm going to find the average, or I'm going to find the mean of these. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 6 plus 18 and then divide it by 2. Now, 6 plus 18 I know is 24, so I do 24 divided by 2, which means my median is 12. So really, my middle number is 12. Is that in my list? No, it is not. But that is the average of our middle two numbers, okay? So again, like I said, it is not always going to be all nice like it was in example 2, okay? All right. Mode. Mode is what number happens the most. Well, in this case, we have 2 numbers that happen the most. We have 1 and we have 42. Both of them have 5 numbers. So that means my mode is 1 and 42. What? Yes. I told you earlier in our notes, let's go look. So, you don't believe me. Data doesn't always have a mode. Or it can have more than 1. What? I know. All right, finally is the range. So the range is the biggest number, and our biggest number is 42, minus our smallest number, which is 1. And 42 minus 1, hopefully you can do that in your head without a calculator, is a 41. All right, everyone, that's the end of today's notes. Please make sure to do your homework. There are only 3 problems on there. Put your numbers in order. Make sure you're crossing them off so you don't make any silly boo-boos. And I hope you have a wonderful afternoon.